it's Kayla and I'm back. I've missed you guys. I've missed making videos. For those of you who don't know, I was gone because I was very busy with my first semester of graduate school. I am working towards getting my master's in social work to become a therapist, but it is now over. I'm officially on winter break. I survived it, and here I am back in front of the camera. So today I thought I would talk about the accommodations that I use in graduate school and the accommodations that I used in undergrad and college. So for my fellow visually impaired viewers who may be considering going to college or going back to school after losing their vision, you know what kind of accommodations are out there, and so you can know how it's done. And another reason, if you are sighted and you're wondering how in the world does a blind person go to college or grad school, I'm here to answer that question. And I just want to throw this out there real quick that I started college in 2010 and graduated with my bachelor's in 2014 and then started grad school this year in 2018. So over those 8 years, technology has changed a lot, and my vision has gotten a lot worse over those 8 years as well, especially during those 4 years that I took off of school. So I used different things when I came back for grad school, and it definitely was an adjustment period, but it is doable. So first things first, when I started college, I lived in an apartment near campus so that I could walk. And I would highly recommend that. It was so convenient, and it just gave me a lot of freedom and independence to be able to walk myself to and from class. And secondly, I worked with an orientation and mobility instructor. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's someone who works with blind people and helps them learn how to navigate and work with their mobility aid, which would be a cane or a guide dog. So she was teaching me how to use a cane because I started using a cane when I started college. And then she helped me learn the routes to all of my classes. So I learned where all of my classes were, and then the library and the student center and the disabilities office, anywhere I needed to go, we learned those routes, and she helped me identify landmarkers so I could recognize where I was, and then we just walked them over and over and over and over, and it was very frustrating and very overwhelming, but once I got the hang of it, it was like a piece of cake. And then every semester after that, when I had classes in new buildings, it was really easy to learn those because I had a good foundational knowledge of the layout of the campus. And now I don't live near campus anymore. I live on the other side of town, so I just Uber there. Okay, so every college has or should have a disabilities office. And when you're looking at schools, I would highly recommend contacting the disability offices because some are better than others, and then so you can just see what they have to offer you in terms of accommodations and services and things like that. So for mine, I registered with them and went over all of the accommodations that I needed, and then they were kind of my ally to make sure that my professors complied with my accommodations, which I never had a problem with, so that was really good. But one of my accommodations was that I took my tests with the disabilities office. So when everyone else took their test in class, I would go to the disabilities office and I took my test in my own little room. I had extended time, and then I had a proctor who would read the test to me and then fill in my answer sheet for me. And sometimes I used a CCTV. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's kind of like an electronic magnifier. You put your piece of paper underneath it and it magnifies it on this kind of like large computer monitor, and you can adjust the size and the contrast. So I used that sometimes, mainly with math tests, because it's hard to have someone read math to you. So yeah, that's how I took my tests. And also my campus has an adaptive technology center. So it's a little room in the library that has, you guessed it, adaptive technology. So they have a bunch of CCTVs, they have computers with large monitors that have Zoom text or JAWS on them, and just different types of equipment that you can go in there and use. And something that they are able to do that's really helpful is to convert your textbooks into electronic format. So you just bring them your textbook and they'll either scan it, or sometimes they already have it on file and then they can give it to you in a PDF format. So when I first started college, I would take that PDF and I would just read it on my laptop, so I could zoom in and I could change the contrast, but I was still reading with my eyeballs, which I was slow at, but it was better than reading like an actual book with a handheld magnifier underneath a lamp. But around like my junior or senior year, I started reading my textbooks on my iPad with VoiceOver, so it would just read them to me, and that's what I use exclusively now in grad school, which is a lot of reading, so I just have it read to me, and it has been a lifesaver because I read so slow with my eyes. It's getting very difficult to be able to read anything with my eyes now, no matter how large it is. So, like I said, lifesaver. And then also when I was in undergrad, I did all my assignments, like my papers and my research for assignments and whatever. I just used my laptop with the built-in magnifier on it. That's how I did all of my assignments. Now I use a screen reader, so I have everything read to me, and it has made things a lot easier. And something that has really been another lifesaver is keyboard commands. So for those of you who, even if you don't use a screen reader, if you still just use the magnifier, I would highly recommend you can just Google Windows shortcut keys or Word shortcut keys, and you can highlight and cut and copy and paste text using the keyboard. You don't have to use the mouse, because that was always such a challenge to try and click the mouse and drag it and highlight what I want and then find out where I need to put it and paste it, and it was always such a challenge. So it's been so much easier to just do everything with the keyboard. I don't use a mouse at all, and it has really made things easier. Okay, and so for my accommodations in class, I have permission to record lectures. However, I did that one time and then I took it home and I was going to go listen to it and take notes on it. And I was like, I just listened to this for an hour and a half and I really don't want to listen to it for an hour and a half again. So that was the first and last time I recorded a lecture. And from then on, I would just bring my laptop to class and type up my notes. So I just listened to the lecture and type my notes, which is what everyone else does. So it's really not any different. The only difference is that I can't see what I'm typing, and I don't use VoiceOver while I'm doing that because that would be really distracting. But it's just taking notes. So if there's any errors, I can just go back and correct them later, and I'm a pretty good typist, so it's really not a big deal. Okay, so another accommodation I get is copies of PowerPoints, since I can't see the projector. And this is barely an accommodation because most professors all put their PowerPoints online anyways, on like the online class portal thing, and all students have access to the PowerPoints. But if for some reason they don't, then they would just email me those, and any other kind of lecture notes that they use, I get copies of all of those. And one accommodation that I have now that is brand new for this semester, since I've gone back to school, is getting all class materials in electronic format. So before, in undergrad, if there was like a class handout or something, I could usually just read that with my magnifier. I can't really do that anymore. So any kind of class handouts or worksheets or instructions for assignments or whatever, I get those in electronic format so that I can have them read to me via VoiceOver. And again, like the PowerPoints, this is barely an accommodation because pretty much all of the class materials are online already. And if for whatever reason they're not, they just email it to me. And I type all of my assignments. I mean, mostly everything is typed anyways. Papers, all of that's typed, turned into the Dropbox. It's 2018. Pretty much everything is online. But there have been a few assignments this semester that the rest of the class filled out by hand. It was kind of like a worksheet in class. Since I cannot see my handwriting, that's very hard to do. So I just typed mine up and email it to them. And then I have a few online classes, and it's compatible with VoiceOver and screen readers. It's not the best. It could be better. So sometimes it's frustrating because it's a little slow and it's just a little hard to navigate. So definitely could be improved, but it's doable. And again, I don't have any accommodations for online classes because I can access the material the same as everybody else. So pretty much this is a really good time to be in college in 2018 because everything is pretty much done through technology, so it really makes it a lot easier on us. So one last thing that I want to mention is presentations. I gave a few presentations in undergrad and just memorized the entire thing. This semester I had a presentation that was 45 minutes long, and I could not memorize something that long. Well, maybe I could have, but I did not have the time or the energy to attempt to do that. So what I did is I typed up notes and had them on my iPhone, and then had an AirPod in one ear and had VoiceOver feeding me my notes to prompt me on what to talk about. And that worked really well. One thing to be aware of is that I was nervous and my hands were sweaty, so I had trouble swiping my phone. So there were like a few awkward pauses, so be aware of that. And you still need to be prepared about what you're talking about. I just had just a couple of words to prompt me on what to talk about, because if you think you can type up an entire script and have it feed it to you and you repeat it verbatim, that's not going to happen. It's very hard to talk while you're listening to that. So also be aware that that's going to be very difficult to do. Okay, well, I think that's about it. I hope it was helpful. I know for me, when I was in high school, I did not plan on going to college. I thought it would be too hard. I knew it involved a lot of reading, and I read really slow, and I just didn't think I would be able to keep up, and I just didn't know about all of these accommodations. So I just want everyone to know that you can do it and you can be very successful at it. If you have any questions, leave those in the comments below. I would be more than happy to try and answer those. And if you have used any accommodations that I did not list, please put those in the comments below so other viewers can see those. And just in case there's something out there that I need to know about, I would love to hear about it. And I hope y'all liked this video. I will see you next time, and I promise next time won't be 4 months from now. It will be soon. So see you then.